Jamie from Inky&Scrappy, sharing with you today Wednesday's novel, a multimedia card using multiple companies to pull an idea into reality. I brought out an old dinosaur. At least to me it's an old dinosaur. It's my old Cricut. So this one is at least a dozen years old. I have no clue. It's an expression. I think it's the expression, the original expression. I'm not sure. It does the 12 by 12. It does 12 by 24. I struggle with it on the regular, and so I usually don't use it. I do pull it out for a few things, and I have tons of cartridges for it. I don't have any of the programming on the computer anymore for it. So therefore, it doesn't get used a whole lot. But when I do use it, I usually use my close to my heart cartridges. And I pulled in the, I want to say it's the Artiste cartridge. For this one, I was looking for a spider web and like about a 4-inch one, and I didn't want to go out and have to buy another die cut. I have plenty of, stuff. So I was trying to use what I had at hand because I didn't know if this idea was going to come into fruition or not. And so using what you have is definitely the way to go, especially for a one and done style card. This one ended up being a 2. But I might do a whole Wednesday series. I love the show Wednesday on Netflix, and there's a story behind it anyways. But, so I wanted to do the window in Wednesday in Enid's room. And so where you have that rainbow on the one side and just the plane on the other. And so that was kind of where I was going. And of course, since the first one cut out so well, I was like, I'm going to do a second one. I did back the first probably 5 inches with a double-sided adhesive die cut adhesive paper, or I don't know what it's called. I think it's like Creative. I will list it below. I will look it up for you if you are interested in it. It definitely came off a lot better than the second one that did not have that on it. And then, of course, because I had that whole piece of paper and it was working, I just cut out a whole bunch of other things that I'll probably end up making something with this Halloween season. So for the next step, of course, I needed to create a rainbow window look for half of my spiderweb window. That was going to be on Enid's side of the room. And so, of course, the easiest way to do that is on acetate and, of course, with alcohol inks. So I haven't done alcohol inks for a while, and I just got to play. It was really fun. I had a blast. Sometimes these things just need to happen. I did use some mint tape here to try to block the alcohol ink from going on it. It did pretty good. It wasn't foolproof, but of course, rubbing alcohol is like an eraser for alcohol ink. So I just brought in some rubbing alcohol to kind of clean up my acetate here. I will bring in an alcohol wipe to finish all of this up and just to clean up my straight line. It didn't need to be perfectly straight because, of course, my spider web was going to go over the top of it and it was going to work, right? So I did end up having, I think, 3 spiderweb options for this one. I ended up going with the one that looked the most symmetrical. It was not. So the other part of this one was that I needed to create the room. So I knew that I wanted this circle for my window, and so I will cut that out when I'm all done. But I needed to create the floor, the walls, and of course you have the rainbow throw up on one side of the room, and then the black and white drab look on the other side, which is Wednesday's side of the room. And so I had to recreate that. So I'm bringing in Trinity Stamps. I want to say this one is the Sunrise Stencil, or I will list it down below in the description box. I've been busy, and so I do not write down names, and so I've probably got like 5 creations in the works, and so I will find the names for it. I will list it down below for you. So I brought in the black soot for Wednesday's side of the room because I wanted it to be a little bit darker, and then I'm going to come in with some more masking paper, and then I'm going to bring in Lawn Fawn's Rainbow Builder Stencil. So the idea with this one was it's circular in shape, and so I could get that circular I guess, cobweb or the web look to go onto my flooring, if that makes sense, because I still wanted the gray there and the drab, but I also wanted to make it look like a rainbow threw up. And so that was how I was going to go about this look. So the ink colors for my rainbow colors that really went very well with my alcohol ink colors that I had. I will have a still of those colors on both my Instagram and my blog if you're interested in them. I want to say the blue was prize ribbon, peacock feathers was the green, yellow was squeezed lemonade, I do believe, and I think I did worn lipstick because I didn't want it to be too red. I kind of wanted more of a pinky red. I think those were the colors that I ended up going with. Now for my walls. In the actual show it looks like wood lats on the walls is what I gathered. So I brought in this, I think it's a plaid builder or striped stencil from Trinity Stamps. And so I came in first time with Distress ink in walnut stain, and then the second time I brought in either ground espresso or I did walnut stain in the oxide. I don't exactly remember. I think I used walnut stain for both, but I'm not positive. Don't quote me on these things. So, and then I'm just going to heavily hand it, kind of come back with it, and then, of course, I need to pull the stencils off. It just kind of gave it a slight lat look or wooden lat look. I'm going to bring in the same stencil that I used for my flooring and kind of do a ray of light out from the center of where that window is going to sit. This gives me that rainbow look that I'm going for, and it gives me the radiation or the radiant through that cobweb look. And then I'm just going to come back in and kind of muddy that up just a little bit so it doesn't look perfect. I want it to kind of have that, you know, the little bit of color all over the place look. So I'm bringing in my A2 size stitched rectangle stencil from die from Lawn Fawn, and then a circle from Spellbinder circle stack here. I just want to cut a hole in my panel here. Now, if I would have been on top of things, I would have cut the circle at the same time for my panel on my card. I will show you how I do that in a little while. I ended up having to, play with it a little bit. So once I have that cut out, it looks amazing. I was so tickled pink by how this one turned out that I came in with the black soot, went around the outside, and then of course I had to finish building the rest of my room here. So I'm just cutting down my piece of acetate to kind of fit behind there. Make sure that it's all going to work properly, and then add some double-sided score tape to the back side of this so it will hold that acetate on. And then, yes, I'm going to bring in the one that has the adhesive back to it. I saved you my struggles. It actually wasn't too bad. Just the little middle parts there were a little bit finicky to get out. It wasn't too bad. Now, because this one is all adhesive, I just laid my acrylic behind there, or transparency, and then pressed down the web, and then I will just peel up my backing here after the fact. This way I could make sure that the middle of the web was covering that kind of where the rainbow and the clear comes out sort of spot. The other thing you could do is definitely you could do alcohol markers onto that acetate, and you would get, your straight line that way if you don't do alcohol inks. So for my card panel, I did a top folding A2 card. I went in with the die that I cut my panel with because I needed it to line up. And so I just made sure to move my top plate down so it did not cut towards the top of that one. I didn't need it to cut the top of it. So it did end up having a little bit of a stitched outline all the way around on the inside of the card. It was fine. It was what I had to do to make it work because I didn't know how else to line it up perfectly since I'd already put the acetate window in there. One would have thought that, you know, I'd learn from my endeavors. Yeah. So I am bringing in the Wednesday stamp set from Ink Road Stamps. I don't know if this one is in stock. If it is one that you want, put it on your wish list, and she might bring it back. It's kind of how Ink Road goes, because it's a small business, so they order, and then when they're gone, and then if there's enough want for it, they will bring it back for reorders again, and you will be alerted. So make sure to put your email in there, all the things. I've had some luck because I got my Sally and Jack ones that way, so you know, it works. Sometimes it takes a little bit of time. But anyway, so I wanted that sentiment on this one because, of course, I'm bringing in some stamped images. Now, I did not share any of the stamping and or coloring on this one because I knew this one was going to take a little bit of time. So I will explain where my images come from. The typewriter is from You're Just My Type from Lawn Fawn. The little girl is from Bicycle Built for You. I did mask off her hair on this one. I really thought I took a picture of them before I cut them out. I did not. I'm bringing in the guitar for her cello. I think it's a cello. Because I wanted to do her sitting on a stool and doing but that I realized my panel was backwards for that. So it wasn't going to work. Anyways, but it still works in this sense. So I added some books in there for a little bit of color. And of course, because she's working on her novel. And I brought in the Here's a Little Message for You is actually from an old Close to My Heart stamp set that also has a typewriter and some type style font. I might be a sucker for typewriter stamps and typewriter style sentiments. I'm bringing in a crystal and then, of course, a potion or maybe a nail polish bottle for Enid's side of the room. And then Wednesdays at that very special age when a girl has only one thing on her mind. Boys? Homicide. So I will add in some glossy accents onto my gem or crystal here, and then of course the bottle needed a little bit to just kind of rounded out the scene there with the added little things. So there is my completed first Wednesday card inspired by Netflix Wednesday series. I hope you have an amazing day. Keep getting inky. Bye!